and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms.
Every single one.
If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, I'm Larry.
Hi, I'm Breanna.
I'm Charlie.
And I'm Josh. The four of us are back together again. This may be the most frequent panel of fantastic people.
Yay! Wait, I'm fantastic?
Fantastic.
And today we're going to be going over a poem that is fantastic from a poet that is fantastic. Robert Frost is a remarkable poet, and the poem we're going to be going over is one of his earlier ones that does not have as much recognition in Home Burial. There's only one question to this discussion, so we are going to revolve our discussion around it, and that is, how do you feel this poem approaches the topic of death? Do you feel something can be said about Frost's views on the topic upon reading it? Charles?
I'm going to flat out say, topic, how it's approached, I think was spot on. I almost said dead on, but, it's spot on. Especially when you lose a child, it's such, it's going to really hit home. Whenever someone passes, it's always, cherish your good times, but it's still, it's like, will I ever see them again? Well, hopefully, but in this case, I think they're ready to just, I think the wife is about to walk out the door, and he's, they're in turmoil, in distress. And when you're under that pressure, and this is true for a lot of people, I'm going to flat out say it myself. When my grandmother died 2 years ago, I was not myself. I was still eating cookies and drinking Snapple at an unprecedented rate, but I just, I couldn't function.
If it becomes compulsive, then it becomes...
Well, yeah.
That's the reaction you have.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I cut down on the cookies and I've cut down on the Snapple, but here it really, for this couple, it hits home.
I think for this poem, it's as much about death as it is about how the living respond.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that there's the one example from the husband who responds in a silent kind of way, and a way where he has been able to mourn, but look at the idea that life goes on, while the wife continues to mourn,
right?
And she is that whole idea that it's that whole idea that this is an unfair segment of life. Yeah. And
why my child? Why this family? Why this good?
Why does not just why, but why do things happen this way, and why do we detach ourselves the way that her husband has? And her husband he wants to work things out, but it's also on his behalf a lack of understanding.
Still, and everyone reacts differently to the passing. I had multiple reactions. Of course, I was sad. I was a train wreck. And I'm not talking about the movie train wreck. I'm talking about an actual train wreck. Next thing I know, I'm playing my drums. 5 minutes later, I'd be in tears. Song would come on, Elvis, The Wonder of You. Oh my God, I hit my head. I would actually hit myself with a drumstick just to snap out of it, and that didn't do any good.
Well, there's the 5 stages of grief, right?
Yes.
Denial and anger.
Well, there was And
I think in this play we have 2 characters going through the process at different stages, right? Like I think the wife is angry, and I think the husband is still in denial. I don't think he's moved on to anger yet. Yeah. And I think that's what's causing a lot of the friction between them, is the fact that she can't understand how he's processing it, and I don't think he can either.
In what way would you find, because he buried the child in the yard, and it doesn't seem as he knows that it's happened and there's nothing he can do about it. I really don't think that he's denying that it has happened.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's like a spot in it that he says that like she's like, well, it's not fair, or that the world is the world is evil or something, and he kind of has the vibe like, you know, like I know my child is dead. Can I talk about it? Like it happened, and you know, like you're grieving about it, and I can't like communicate with you because you can't like get it out and get over it. And he is kind of like calm, I feel like, and can talk about it because it's like I think he did like get over it.
That's how I foreseen it, and it's that whole idea that people go through those stages quicker.
Yeah,
than
so
others.
maybe he's already on to acceptance.
Yeah.
But I think she's definitely in anger. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah,
anger. But it's denial, anger. What are the other two?
What is it?
She's not accepting it.
Acceptance is the final one.
Yeah.
Grief, I guess, is in there somewhere.
Okay.
Denial, anger, sadness, and
I mean, with me, there
I
was.
remember them all.
I would say there's definitely a combination of, but I think anger is
The third
the
one
most-
is bargaining, Josh.
bargaining.
bargaining.
Yeah.
Voice in my head said bargaining, but
The voice in my head also.
and it sounds like Ari. But
Wait, Ari's in your head?
but
Comic relief at its worst.
but otherwise, but this anger stage really it comes off as being the end all. It will be the determining stage. It doesn't really go as we don't get to see whether or not it is the determination, the determining factor.
You mean?
The fact that whether or not she walks out the door and never comes back.
Yeah. No, I agree. We certainly don't know, and you know, you hope that it's not the ruin of her too. You know, like she would be able to recover in time,
Come back, you know, because she moves the latch.
come back or not. You know, that anger's got to be dealt with, right? She's got to reckon with that and come to peace with what happened. And hopefully, if it takes for her to have to leave the house and never come back in order to get over it, then, you know.
And for some people, that's it. Because that house, you have all those memories. They're attached to that physical place.
Yeah,
but then at the same time, you know, you're never coming to the acceptance.
I know. Yeah, you're
Speaking
running
of, like
and you're
home
running away.
now, like the title, I feel like it is done.
Yeah.
Like home burial.
Yeah.
Like their marriage is like
Yeah.
Oh, so they're burying the home
the
as
kid
well.
and the home.
Like, forget it. I'm done with this. You know. And honestly, when it comes to past experiences for me, there were 7 stages of grief, and the anger was definitely one of the most prevalent. But there was also just the I don't even know, but I do know that I was like, this never, you know, I don't even think I had that denial. I mean, it probably happened and I didn't know about it, but I went right to anger, and oh my God, we're gonna have a little chat now, okay?
Yeah. Something you just made me think of too, Bree, is it could just be
Sad.
another part of it is he's done this before, right? He's had to bury his family. Like he says that, you know, the stones of his parents, I think, are also there.
And the young
she-
child is just a mound.
Right, and this might be the first time she's seen anybody buried in a grave, let alone her child.
It is his house.
You know, so maybe, you know, that's another cause for the rift. You know, is that he's more at peace with this process than she is, because she's never had to go through it at this close a personal level. Not only because of the person that's lost, but also because of it's actually happening right out the window.
Yeah.
And wouldn't there's also the idea that it is the human anatomy. Take that into account. The fact that she, for a longer period of time, this child was a part of her.
Or like a woman versus man type of.
Yeah, pretty much.
shit.
Granted, if you're talking about the reproductive system, I don't want to get too much into that. The fact that
I know what you're trying to say. Even yeah.
The bond is longer.
Yeah.
the bond of pregnancy is much longer and more intimate than
And very painful.
the
from what
the
I
man's
understand.
Yeah, that's fair too, I think.
and then also the idea of Frost's very own life.
Yeah.
He had 6 children. Only 2 of them lived complete lives. Two of them died in childhood. His oldest son, Elliot, died he died from cholera at the age of 8. And his youngest one only lived a few days. So,
Well, that's tragic.
that's
So he's
that.
like speaking from experience.
I think that there's a lot of personal experience that goes into
May I
this.
see this, please?
Yeah, go right
Thank you. I
ahead.
just wanted to see something.
But there's a lines 100 to 105 really stuck out to me toward the end of the poem. It reads, and I quote, "Know from the time when one is sick to death, one is alone, and he dies more alone. Friends make pretense of following to the grave, but before one is in it, their minds are turned, and making the best of their way back to life and living people and things they understand," which is said by the wife.
Right.
That really, at first I interpreted it as the medical medical ideas that come with death and dying, but really coming to think about it, there's such this denial seems cold and distant, but it's something that we regularly practice and almost need to practice in order to move forward with our lives. So,
You mean as far as dealing with the dying?
dealing with the dying and the death itself, because mourning is acceptable, but the idea of dwelling,
Yeah.
can you really?
How long
Yeah.
can you carry
Yeah.
this? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I never thought I would get over it. To this day, you know,
Mhm.
and technically, and there's, you know, a lot of people say you'll never get over the loss of a loved one, and I find that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be able to say to yourself, I have to just say, they're in a better place. Screw it, they're in a better place, and that's what and I use that tool. I would just flat out say it under my breath, of course, and I'm not saying it on camera. You're in a better place. Done with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, subbing with kids, you can't really say what's on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get away from the door, please. Get away from the door. Get away from the door. Okay, yeah, but still, you know, you know, around the holiday season, you know, birthdays, stuff like that, anniversaries, you know.
And even memories are acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just the idea
And
that
it is okay
it's
to cry.
awareness.
It is okay to cry.
I would certainly agree with that.
Some people say, well, why do you say that? And someone actually confronted me. I said, well, what do you want? What would you doing this crap? And he's, whoa, okay there, all right. I'm like, yeah.
You just have to be aware that life is a cycle.
Yeah.
Everybody's born and everybody dies.
Exactly.
It's not. There's no.
Yeah.
Nobody is exempt from either one of those. And then the taxes in between.
Oh, well, yeah.
The only things in life are death and taxes.
Yeah.
But do we have any final thoughts or things that we wanted to bring about?
Not me. I think I said what I wanted to.
I did too. I'm
Everything-
sad
everybody
now, for
said-
God's sake.
There's a lot that can be said, and if you want to read this and everything that Robert Frost has written with regard to poetry, here is the collection I own and desire. It's one of my prized gems in my
I got a
collection.
wee bit closer to the camera. Thanks. All right.
And there are so many great pieces here. There's the obvious ones, of course, The Road Not Taken and Mending Wall, but a lot of the others that are hidden gems. Alrighty, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Literary Gladiators. And be sure to join us next time. For now, keep reading.